Just a comment on the freaky business interview, Oksana's interview with Nordstrom. Very good interview, I must say. One or two things caught me. One was the idea of identity, and looking at the virtual identity, or the idea that you could become whoever you wanted to become. In 3 or 4 years, you could become a US citizen, or you could become a jihadist, or whatever. That I think is a very important idea. Where it coincides, I think, with my work is that in memory, body, and dance, I've been talking about concepts of memorialization and working on really a combination of Kenneth Foote's ideas in the US and how people are memorializing events as a matter really of identity. I've argued that Kenneth is talking about identity. And the work of Sharon Mazer on Māori theatre. So when we come to ethnic identity and the idea of virtual identity, and the idea that you can assemble these things very quickly, these things, said things being a set or a corpus, if you like. These are my words, I'm not drawing on you, and I've mentioned so far, of images and points of reference that can be culled, as it were, from social media, are enabled by the digital universe that we live in. And that, and Nordstrom's point is that globalisation occurs in his thesis anyway, through as a result of digitalisation. I'm not personally quite so sure about that, but there is no question that, with respect to his point about people assuming identities very quickly, that yes, living in a digital universe is really very, very effective. The point also being that, and I don't think this is in the interview, and I think that this is important personally, is that when Nordstrom talks about the movement from so many countries to so many cities, arguing that the cities are going to be the most important places in days to come, and nations are not, that we're really talking about a need to re-identify, because we've had the nation state, and if Nordstrom talks about the nation state mentality being, as it were, obsolete, and that's my word, not his necessarily, but I think that's what he's saying. Where are people going to draw identity from, if not from the nation state, is my question. And I think it's a big question. I think you need to look at ethnic identity. Interestingly enough, I felt that Nordstrom, by, as it were, concentrating on, I'm choosing my words very carefully, for not because I don't want to offend Nordstrom or anybody, but because I just think it's a very important point. Identifying females and saying that what we have here are silly males and studious females, and it's the silly males who are romping away and becoming jihadists or whatever, whereas your studious females are made for the city, that the city is their environment and they're doing better in the city. And again, choosing my words very carefully, because the mentality of the studious reflective person being more suited to the city than the, as it were, warrior, nation state warrior, let's say. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that. I don't think it's as simple as that. But I do think it's a very good point, and I think it's a point that it's worth working on. And I think it comes back to what I'm talking about with respect to identity, because I put the question back to Nordstrom: to whom, or with whom, or about whom do said female students, studious people, identify? How do they identify? It's very important. Do they identify as a global unit, so to speak, which would, on the face of it, and I'm trying not to put words in Nordstrom's mouth, or Oksana's mouth for that matter, that this might lead to some kind of global identity, where people don't necessarily identify with a nation state or an ethnicity or whatever, they just identify with other studious people. Is this what's being talked about here with Peter Cleave?